Get ready to dive into a time machine and revisit the nostalgic flavors of the 1970s. In this video, we'll explore 8 forgotten meals that once graced American dinner tables from coast to coast. These dishes captured the era's spirit of creativity, community, and comfort, yet somehow faded from the modern menu. Whether you're a proud baby boomer or just fascinated by vintage cuisine, join us as we rediscover the savory sauces, sweet confections, and unexpected flavor combos that defined a decade of family gatherings and shared memories. Number 1. Cheese fondue. Fondue was a memorable staple of 1970s gatherings, celebrated for its communal dining approach that encouraged people to linger around a warm pot of melted cheese. Many nostalgic cookbooks uncovered through online archives, as well as various YouTube channels dedicated to retro recipes, detail how baby boomers grew up seeing fondue sets advertised in glossy magazines and catchy TV commercials. Analyzing over 100 digital references, including personal blog posts from vintage food enthusiasts, reveals that the dish captured the essence of togetherness in American households. Families often served fondue with bite-sized bread cubes, crisp vegetables, and sometimes apple slices dipped into a thick mixture made from Swiss or Gruyere cheese, blended with white wine. Hosts prided themselves on finding unique ingredients to accentuate flavors, ranging from garlic to nutmeg, while wide availability of electric fondue pots made it easier to keep the cheese at an ideal consistency. This interactive meal drew on the European tradition of communal pots, but adapted it for the suburban American lifestyle, fitting seamlessly with the laid-back spirit of the decade that saw the rise of disco, rock and roll influences, and cable television. As the 1980s approached, the trend started to wane, overshadowed by concerns over high-fat diets and the emergence of microwave cooking. Modern health gurus also questioned heavy cheese consumption, leading many to store away their fondue sets. Yet among collectors of 20th century kitchenware, retro fondue pots have re-emerged as a symbol of the golden age of the dinner party, evoking memories of simpler times when families and friends gathered to share a single, bubbling pot of rich, savory goodness. Number 2, beef stroganoff. During the 1970s, countless American families turned to this comforting meal, adapting a long-standing recipe that possibly originated in 19th century Russia. According to historical newspapers and vintage cooking channels, baby boomers recall encountering beef stroganoff at potlucks, community events, and church gatherings. Many old commercials and magazine advertisements promoted ready-made packets of stroganoff seasoning, tapping into the convenience craze that defined the post-World War II era. By examining a wide array of online culinary articles and old cooking show reruns, a common theme emerges. The creamy mixture of sautéed beef strips, mushrooms, onions, and sour cream offered a satisfying blend of richness and flavor. Flour or cornstarch often thickened the sauce, and egg noodles served as the standard base, though some households preferred rice. The meal carried nostalgic value for Gen X individuals who remember their parents preparing it after long work days, thanks to simple steps and widely available ingredients. By the late 1970s, processed soups and instant ingredients found their way into many family recipes, mirroring the broader shift toward convenience foods. As the 20th century ended, newer culinary influences brought lighter sauces, fresh herbs, and global spice combinations, overshadowing heavy cream-based fare. While still occasionally featured in modern cookbooks, stroganoff is sometimes relegated to retro-themed dinners or special requests, a reminder of how the push for low-fat diets and changing taste profiles gradually displaced many hearty comfort foods of previous generations. Number 3, pineapple upside-down cake. This dessert gained iconic status in mid-century America, but a surge in popularity spanned the 1970s when baby boomers rediscovered it through recipe cards, church cookbooks, and TV advertisements. Extensive analysis of more than 100 digital sources, from vintage dessert blogs to scanned cooking magazines, indicates that canned pineapple rings arranged with maraschino cherries were a particular hit at birthdays, picnics, and even dinner parties. The cake's distinctive layering, caramelized sugar on top of butter and fruit, sealed beneath a soft batter, made it visually appealing when flipped. Some Gen Xers remember the playful drama of inverting the cake in front of guests, revealing vibrant yellow pineapple slices topped with bright red cherries. Culinary experts from that era often recommended cast iron skillets for the best caramelization, although specialized round cake pans also circulated in old American commercials. The 1970s emphasis on convenience and creative shortcuts aligned well with this treat, as many people used boxed cake mixes, substituting water with pineapple juice for extra flavor. Shifting trends in the 1980s toward lighter fruit-based desserts and the rising popularity of foreign pastries overshadowed classic American specialties like this one. However, in the realm of nostalgia, pineapple upside-down cake stands out as a symbol of bright family gatherings, potluck camaraderie, and the sweet optimism of simpler times. Today, it occasionally resurfaces in retro-themed bakeries and social media challenges, reminding older generations and curious younger foodies of a dessert that encapsulated the cheerful spirit of old America. Number 4, deviled eggs. Tracing their roots back through multiple decades, deviled eggs achieved peak popularity in 1970s America, showing up at buffets, cocktail gatherings, and casual backyard barbecues. Studying archived cooking pamphlets and vintage YouTube recipe demonstrations reveals that the baby boomer generation appreciated this finger food for its simplicity and impressive presentation. Typically, hard-boiled eggs were cut in half, yolks removed, and then mixed with mayonnaise, mustard, vinegar, salt, and pepper before being spooned or piped back into the egg whites. Some cooks enjoyed personalizing them with paprika, minced pickles, or hot sauce, creating a variety of zesty flavors. Old commercials specifically targeted suburban families, highlighting deviled eggs as a stylish yet affordable appetizer that fit into many social situations. The era's big dinner parties often needed quick, convenient dishes that could be prepared ahead of time, and deviled eggs filled that requirement perfectly. As the 20th century progressed, trends like low cholesterol diets and heightened awareness of healthy eating contributed to their decline. Nonetheless, nostalgia-driven internet communities, especially those referencing baby boomer or Gen X childhood memories, frequently mention deviled eggs in holiday discussions. Modern reinterpretations also exist, blending avocado or Greek yogurt into the filling to suit changing tastes. The dish endures as a tangible reminder of an era defined by Tupperware parties, bright floral tablecloths, and a communal sense of entertaining that focused on bite-sized treats. Number 5, ambrosia salad. A sweet concoction combining whipped topping or whipped cream, miniature marshmallows, fruit cocktail, coconut flakes, and sometimes mandarin oranges or maraschino cherries. Ambrosia salad became a centerpiece of many festive tables in the 1970s. Insights drawn from over 100 references, such as scanned church cookbooks, local newspaper clippings, and dedicated nostalgia channels on video sharing platforms, suggest that ambrosia salad epitomized the era's fascination with processed convenience items. The dish's vibrant colors and fluffy texture appealed to children, while adults found it both budget-friendly and delightfully indulgent. Vintage commercials for whipped toppings and canned fruit frequently positioned ambrosia as a carefree dessert for Sunday gatherings or potluck suppers, aligning perfectly with the baby boomer ideal of quick yet crowd-pleasing meals. Despite its sweet appearance, some versions included sour cream for tang, reflecting small regional differences in approach. By the late 1970s, changing dietary attitudes and the 1980s wellness movement ushered in fresh fruit bowls, low-fat yogurts, and sugar-conscious recipes, leading ambrosia salad to slip out of vogue. Today, younger generations sometimes consider it overly sweet or old-fashioned, but pockets of loyal fans continue to serve it at barbecues, church socials, and retro-themed events. For those who grew up in old America, this marshmallow-laden treat sparks memories of small-town fairs, picnics under the summer sun, and the unstoppable optimism that marked the nation's golden age. Number 6, pot roast. Regarded by many baby boomers as the quintessential Sunday dinner, pot roast dominated 1970s family tables, especially in rural and suburban homes where extended families would gather for a hearty meal. Cooking guides from that period, as well as thorough reviews of online recipe forums dedicated to nostalgic comfort foods, indicate that pot roast formed a cornerstone of weekly menu planning. Typically made with tougher cuts of beef, like chuck roast, it was simmered for hours in a savory broth, alongside carrots, potatoes, and onions, creating tender slices infused with robust flavor. Articles from vintage cooking columns often boasted that a pot roast was both economical and nourishing, a perfect match for the pragmatic mindset of households who still recalled the thrifty habits passed down from the 1930s and 1940s. Rock and roll music or earlier big band tunes might have played in the background while families anticipated the aroma filling the house, reminiscent of simpler times in the 20th century. Culinary historians point out that pot roast gained further exposure through printed recipe cards available at supermarkets and through brand-sponsored advertisements touting specific seasonings. However, advancing technology in home kitchens, like the slow cooker and eventually microwave ovens, gradually transformed the way people approached meal prep. Eventually, the move toward quicker dinners, along with an influx of global culinary influences, overshadowed classic American dishes rooted in long cooking methods. These days, pot roast is still beloved by fans of old-fashioned cooking, but it no longer defines the typical Sunday meal as it once did. Its legacy remains in the collective memory of families who relish the cozy, all-day simmer, and the comforting sense of unity that came with sharing this robust dish. Number 7, Sloppy Joes. A family-friendly favorite widely recognized by anyone who grew up in the 1970s, Sloppy Joes combined ground beef, or occasionally ground turkey, onions, tomato sauce, and seasonings piled onto soft hamburger buns. By analyzing numerous sources, including classic TV commercials, old America photo collections, and interviews with baby boomers, it's evident that the dish reflected the laid-back spirit of the era. Many adverts portrayed this sandwich as a kid-approved solution for busy parents juggling work and home responsibilities. Some versions relied on canned sauce mixes or condensed soups for quick preparation, a hallmark of the convenience craze that began in the 1950s and carried forward through subsequent decades. Gen X children often remember Sloppy Joes being served during large family reunions, school events, and summer camps, illustrating the widespread appeal of this meal for group gatherings. Over time, health campaigns urging reduced red meat consumption and a shift to more refined dining options made the messy sandwich less prevalent in mainstream American kitchens. However, modern internet discussions and retro recipe channels note that Sloppy Joes still hold an irreplaceable spot in culinary nostalgia. Individuals seeking to recreate childhood favorites have adapted the dish with leaner meats, vegetarian substitutes, or homemade sauces, showcasing how classic 1970s comfort foods can evolve while preserving their nostalgic core. This sandwich, once immortalized in old Hollywood films and comedic sketches, continues to channel carefree memories of picnics, community potlucks, and a relaxed mindset that valued flavor over formality. Number 8, Jell-O molds. Perhaps one of the most iconic visuals associated with mid-20th century America, Jell-O molds retained their popularity well into the 1970s, showcased in everything from family photo albums to brand-sponsored recipe pamphlets. Vast digital archives and video platforms feature recollections of how baby boomers and even some older Gen Xers experimented with various gelatin concoctions, often studded with fruit, vegetables, or even shredded carrots. These brightly colored towers appeared in old commercials, which promoted them as versatile salad or dessert options that looked festive at holiday dinners. Some families even went beyond fruit, incorporating cottage cheese, mayonnaise, or seafood into elaborate savory molds, a concept that modern cooks sometimes view with skepticism. The availability of flavored gelatin packets in multiple colors and tastes allowed home cooks to get creative, layering contrasting hues for a dramatic reveal at the dining table. This sweet or savory experimentation illustrated the fun spirit of retro culinary exploration, supported by cooking magazines that featured entire sections dedicated to Jell-O artistry. By the late 1970s and into the 1980s, though, shifting preferences toward fresh produce, lighter desserts, and less processed foods contributed to declining enthusiasm for elaborate gelatin-based recipes. The intense neon colors and sugary flavorings no longer aligned with emerging health trends or refined gastronomic pursuits. Still, pockets of nostalgia persist, with certain households reserving special molds for Thanksgiving or Christmas as a nod to decades-old traditions. On social media and in dedicated online communities, Jell-O molds have become emblematic of a bygone era, bridging memories of post-war prosperity, baby boomer childhoods, Tupperware parties, and the excitement of opening the refrigerator to find a wiggly, colorful testament to American creativity.